as an opportunity to just talk with everybody. It's something I still do 2 to 3 times a month. In fact, I'm doing one tomorrow afternoon. I did one last weekend. So it's something I believe in as a source of business. And in almost 10 years of doing this, it's been a staple part of my core lead sources. So that being said, I'm going to teach from really 2 perspectives today. When I say teach, I'm not going to be teaching at you. This is going to be hopefully interactive. So if you have questions, just go off mute and ask the question. I don't know if we'll make it a full hour because would be pretty redundant if we're talking about open houses for an hour. But that being said, the 2 places I'm going to be teaching from comes out of this book. And if you haven't had a chance to get your hands on this book, this is sort of like the stepbrother of The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. Okay, it's written by Gary Keller, Jay Papasan. And this book is super relevant even today. And the reason why I'm picking or I'm using this book is because there is a chapter, and it is on, get the title here. It's on lead generation. And we know if we do open houses correctly, it's a great source of lead generation. So specifically, I'm going to be referring to page 71, which looks like that. Okay. And if you don't have it in front of you, no big deal. Go get it. Or if you're in the KW Salt Lake City office, come by my office. I'll give you one for free. Okay.
What's the name of the book? I'm sorry, I'm driving. I can't see it.
No, you're just fine. It's called Shift. And I don't think maybe I didn't announce it. I don't think I did. So that's a good call out. SHIFT, Shift. Okay. The other place I'm going to be teaching is from the Gospel of Lee Stern. So if you don't know who Lee Stern is, she is she's a Hall of Famer. She's in my office. She's on my team and a mentor of mine. And I'm going to be sharing with you tonight the 6 questions that she taught me from day 1 to ask at an open house. And I'm going to give that to you for free tonight to go out and implement. Okay, that being said, this is a time to come off mute. And if there's something about open houses that you're looking to walk away from tonight, come off mute and let me know, because I'm going to write them down to make sure that we address them.
I'm just here for extra stuff because you and Claire Gunn too at the night is very good too. So I'm just trying to get some more little gems and stuff. So I don't really have any questions. I'm just trying to see the way you do your open houses and stuff. So
okay. So Greg, is it clear to say that maybe you're looking for you maybe a little bit more about the process from the moment I decide the property and the date and the time all the way through the closing up shop of an open house? Would that be beneficial?
Yes.
Okay, cool. What else?
How do you give you their information? And another question would be, if they say that they're planning on not using an agent, what would you say?
Oh, good way. Okay, so
and they're just thinking about buying it themselves. Cool.
Okay, I'm gonna just put a sub question. They want to be unrepresented. Okay.
That's a great question too. Great one.
Yeah. All right. What else? Probably could get through a couple more.
This is Vicky. I have a question.
Yeah.
So I have been doing open house a lot, most Saturdays, and people talking to me in open house seems like they're interested, and they give me the email phone number. They even tell me their address, and they want to schedule appointment. But the next Monday when I do follow up, they just ghost on me. So I don't know what to do. I keep following up with text message or call them or send email, but I don't see any response.
Okay, good. Love it. Okay, give me one more. Somebody. And if we don't have 4, that's okay. We'll definitely get through these 3.
I'll have another question. How many signs do you put out for your open house?
Ooh, that's a good question. So is it Elise? Did I get that right?
Yes.
Okay. So here's what we're doing. I'm going to answer that one first, and then we're going to get into the content. And then if we have time, we can go through more questions. Okay. So how many open house signs? I think for me, it's dependent upon where the house is situated. And I don't mean like city or wherever. I'm talking about where is it in proximity to a busy road? Because what I'm trying to do is guide people in off a major road. So, for example, if I've got a house, let's just think Sugar House, because that's where my office used to be. If I've got a house that's on 24th South and let's just say 9th East, or let's call it 10th East. Well, I'm going to try to pull people off of those 2 main roads, one being 2100 South, the other one being 900 East. Okay. So it could be, and I use the directionals because I want to weave them in and I want them to be able to just follow the signs to be able to find me. So like for tomorrow, I'm doing an open house up in Clinton. I need 8 signs. Okay. There's been times I've needed in excess of 12, 13, 14 signs. Okay. So it's dependent upon what the location is because I'm trying to pull them off a busy road. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, the other thing, and we'll just work backwards here a little bit, is you want to make sure your signs stand out. I'm not talking so much about design because most everyone I see looks pretty darn good, but put balloons on them that are unique. Lee Stern loves polka dotted balloons, red and white polka dotted balloons, because they're unique. Nobody uses them. And when they're hanging from an A-frame or an H-frame sign, it's really hard for somebody to miss those as they're driving. For myself, I've gone away from those because I was sick and tired of buying helium balloons every Saturday and spending, 15, 16 bucks. And I went to pinwheels. So I put 2 pinwheels in the A-frame sign, make sure the they're pointed in a way that the wind is going to spin them. And that seems to get the attention of drivers as well. Okay. What I want you to understand about sign placement is you're not bringing people in that are coming to seek you out, meaning they found you on Zillow or Realtor or Redfin or whatever. Those people are just plugging it into their Google Maps and finding you. You are seeking out people that are coming home from work or out going to the grocery store or coming back from somewhere that had no intention on coming to an open house, but because they saw your sign and because you're triggering something in them, they're going to now follow your signs to come visit you. Okay. All right. So did I answer that question, Elise, on signs?
Yes. I think that's
Okay.
great.
Okay. The other question was, let's talk about people that want to be unrepresented. Let's go back to you're getting ghosted. So I think this was Vicky. So Vicky, first off, you're not alone. Okay, that happens to all of us. Now, if they gave you a legitimate number, right? Let's assume they did. The opportunity comes in providing value. So I don't know what the content of your text messages and or emails are, okay? And you want to make sure that the content that you're giving them is of value. So did you get enough to know about them to determine what that value would look like? If they're a first-time home buyer, what is some content, some data, some manuscripts that you could send them that would help them, right? If they're a move up from one home to the other, how maybe you could help them with understanding capital gains, and are they planning correctly for that, right? Maybe they're a senior, right? and they're looking to step down, right? What type of value could you provide there? One thing that's really good with buyers, especially, is estate planning, right? So when they go buy that home, are they ready to put it into a trust? Because I can tell you, if they put it into a will, at the very least, that could be problematic. My dad, when he passed away last year, he had a will. And I bugged him for years to get it into a trust, because if it's in a will, it goes to probate, and it can be nasty. His wasn't. But hold on here, dude, knock it off. No. So make sure what you're sending them is valuable. And when you do that, rather than just trying to follow up, you will see an increase in your connection rate. Does that make sense, Nikki?
Yeah, it makes sense. So
Okay.
there's a couple opinions said they want to invest into this open house, and the open house, the price dropped to like 40,000. They're really interested, so they want me to schedule appointment with them. So I said, okay, Monday is holiday. How about we schedule appointment on Tuesday afternoon, 2 p.m. And they said, oh, how about you just send me text message so we can decide where we should meet,
Yeah.
office or
Yeah.
in the open house. Then I send a
Okay.
message follow up, and they just disappear.
Okay. So we talked about value. Here's one other tidbit I give everybody. When you go to set an appointment, okay, you want to do it as fast as you can, meaning if you're at an open house on Saturday, you want to be showing them houses Saturday or Sunday. Because if not, they have more time to back out, more time to get cold feet, more time to think about it. That's not what you want. Okay.
Yeah.
And I know, as being a realtor, working a Sunday, working a holiday, it's not ideal, but truthfully, I worked both Sunday and Monday, so Sunday and Labor Day, because I needed to meet my clients where they were at. So my rule of thumb is you schedule it within 48 hours at the very latest.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Let's go back to the other question. Somebody said they wanted to be unrepresented. Okay, we're seeing a little bit more of that because of the recent changes with NAR. Okay. This I'm going to ask for a little participation. If they want to remain unrepresented, so they're working directly, I guess, with the listing agent. Who does a listing agent represent?
The seller.
The seller. And so, as I'm having this, and thank you for responding, if they represent the seller, who's got the buyer's backside?
No one.
No one. Guys, give me 1 second. Pardon my, I'm going to put myself off camera. Give me literally like a minute. All right, I'm back. This is what happens when your wife is out of town and your dogs are going crazy. So thank you for your patience. So what I was saying is, if the seller is if the selling agent is representing the seller and a buyer is unrepresented, who's got their backside? Nobody. And when it comes time to negotiating, who's the seller negotiating? Well, the selling agent. They're negotiating for the seller. When they're looking over paperwork, whose best interest are they looking in for? The seller. And so this is where you all have access to a course that was taught by Gary Keller, Jay Papasan, and Jason Abrams earlier this year. And it was called Value Square. And if you haven't watched that, it's lengthy. It's like 4 hours. Okay, but it's probably on KW Command. And your coaches can get you probably that content, but it's about understanding the value as a buyer agent specifically. And in that class, they give you like a sheet of like, it's almost 200 things that agents do that if a buyer or seller doesn't have an agent that they're going to be responsible for. And I think when we can demonstrate a handful of those and ask questions, well, who's going to write the contract? And where are you going to get the contract from? Who's going to negotiate for you? What are you going to do if the appraisal comes in low, et cetera, et cetera?
Thank you.
Okay. We end up running them into a position where they may start to see the value that you as an agent bring. Does that help answer that question?
I think so, bro. I was dealing with this with my friend at my job because he was going through me, and then he's like, I just do it myself, and I was like, okay, just be careful. Negotiations, how you know the price that you're buying the house is actually valued that way. We do CMAs and stuff like that. So I was just going into like the like you said, the appraisal, house inspections, stuff like that. So I was like, there's still a need for real estate agents. I was like, I'm a real estate agent, and I would get a realtor because of certain things that I think I know, but I don't.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Greg. So I think, as we talk about action items from today, I think one would be go watch Valued Square. Okay. And if by chance you can't get access from your coach, give me a shout out. I'll give you the link. Okay. It's free, doesn't cost you anything, and it's got a ton of stuff that's relevant today. Oh, we got the answer. Look in the chat. Okay. Now, one of the other questions was, how do you get your information from the people at open houses? Love this one. Okay. And I've used several different ways, and I continue to evolve, and I've gone back to different ways. It's all good. So let's get some participation here. Let's just name out some ways that we could get information of people that are walking through your open house.
One of them was like the sign-in. Is the sign-in sheet a good idea?
Yeah,
Is it?
could
Are
be.
people into that? The sign-in sheets?
Could be. Yeah, very well could be. Okay. Sign-in sheet's a great way. What else?
I would say feedback forms and putting it in their hand is a really good way to collect their info.
Heck yeah. Yeah. And Terry, I love that because I always ask, hey, get what feedback? I don't ask them, do they have feedback? I ask, what feedback do you have that I can provide my sellers, right? And that will start rapport building if you haven't done so already, and on your way to getting their information and for follow-up. Good. What else?
Business cards might help too. Some people might hit you up. Some people might, but it's still worth the shot. Business cards.
Okay, good. Like that. I saw something during COVID that I think is super creative, and I still think it would be applicable today, where I went to visit an open house on a Saturday, and the agent went out with K-Dub, had a QR code on the door, and you had to check in there because they were keeping track of for their seller. Their seller asked them, "We want to know who's in the house," and that is that's a fine expectation by a seller. So they they scan it with their phone, fill out the form, goes to the form that that you got access to. Boom, you're good. Here's one that I use regularly. When I go to an open house, I bring one copy of the MLS sheet. One. Now, who can tell me why you think I only bring one MLS sheet to an open house, not a stack of them?
So you can send them the information?
Oh yeah, and how do I do that?
You can talk to them.
Okay, how else? You're right. You're spot on. On your MLS app on your phone, if you pull up the listing, you can share that listing with them. And when you share it, you can either do email or telephone.
Mhm.
So when they go, and most people do, they're like, hey, can I get a copy? I'm like, oh my gosh, this is my last one. That's truth. Fact is, they don't know I just brought one. I'm like, yeah, this is my last one. I'm like, let me send it to you. I don't even ask them if I can send it, but let me just send this to you. And so I pull it up and I'm like, what's your phone number? I'm going to text it to you. And by this time, I'm like, all right, hey, what's your name, by the way? Oh, it's Greg. Greg, no problem. So in the text message of the MLS that I'm sharing, I'm like, hi, Greg, here's the MLS. Why is that important? Well, if
Now
I've
they
got their
have
phone
your
number,
app and you have their contact info, their name, and you know that they got the message too.
bingo. Okay, so you just hit on it. Like that's the super slickness of this is if I put it into the text message, it's just the link from the MLS. I'm like, hey, Greg, here's the MLS. And I send it. I know right then and there if they got it or if they just gave me a BS phone number. Okay. So it's cool. Like I'm sort of having a little fun with this. Okay. And now as I'm building some rapport and hopefully adding some value to them, I can ask them the question that I absolutely want to ask before they leave, especially, and I'll go through the 6 questions before we get done, is, hey, are you okay if I follow up with you and circle back with you? And if I've done my job of building rapport and providing at least 1 or 2 good nuggets of value, very few people say no. Okay. Okay. So you've got ways of getting their information. And I'm totally fine just throwing the seller under the bus and saying, hey, seller wants me to have everybody check in. Okay. That's the old sign-in sheet. And that's cool. I love the app piece of it, sending them the MLS, because now I've got their information. And my goal when I go to an open house is to get 2 out of 6. So if I've got 6 people that come in, that seems to be my average of people coming into an open house. I want to get 2 pieces of contact information. Okay. So I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but when I go to an open house, I am being strategic on like what my goal is. Sometimes I hit them, sometimes I don't, but it's not without having an objective to go into it. Okay. All right. Any questions so far? Okay. Let's
Wait,
answer this last question. Okay.
Mike,
Yeah,
I have
go
a
ahead.
question. Oh, who's
Yeah.
talking? Mackenzie, go.
oh, sorry. I'm
Okay.
just topic. So when you do follow up, since they gave you their phone number and everything, will all of that be compliant when you follow up with them, even if they're on the list?
Well, okay, good question. If I've gotten permission from them to follow up, and I ask that question all the time, hey, are you okay if I circle back with you, if I follow up with you, if I reconnect with you? If they say no, I'm not calling them. If they say, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, then it's not an issue. And by the way, I'm not calling them from a dialer. So that's where we get in trouble too when we start making outbound calls. So yeah.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks.
Who else had a question?
Mike, I was just going to ask a follow-up question. So when you are saying the seller wants to know who's coming through, the seller has asked me to gather information, and if the person were to say no, I don't want to give it to you, how do you handle that?
Oh my gosh, it hardly ever happens. But so Terry, I don't know if that's ever happened. I think more than likely they'll give me some bogus information, possibly. Okay. But if that were to happen, I think to even eliminate that being an objection, I would build the value up and say, listen, my seller just wants, for sake of peace of mind, they just want to know who's in the house. And if they still resist, I'll say, listen, just give me a first name. That's all I need. Like, so I will sort of, I don't want to say dumb it down, but I will start to make it a little bit less of a mandate. So, and I don't use that very often because I'm using the app.
Awesome. Thank you. I get asked that question a lot. I do feel like it hasn't ever happened to me either. And I do the same thing. I just push back. I'm like, well, this is the seller's home, you know, so you kind of remind them like, this is an
Yeah.
open house and you're in someone else's house.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah. Good. No problem. All right. Who else? Any other questions so far? Okay. So the first question that was asked was the process, my process A to Z of doing an open house. So from there, I'm going to go to page 71 and shift. And this is the 7 levels of an open house. So I literally guide this. And by the way, I very rarely get to a level 7. So if you have a chance to look at that, it's extensive. I probably get to a 4 or a 5, truthfully. Probably more 4 than 5. Okay. So my process before I do anything is I identify the date, I identify the time. Okay. Now, strategically, if I can align that date and time with other open houses in a geographical area, that's great. Because typically, when buyers go to do open houses, they're going to go visit more than one open house, right? Okay. So I am trying to align it with other agents. Now, if they're fairly close together, I may even work with those agents to cross-reference information so that we can push people from one open house to the other. Okay, so that's step 1. Step 2, I'm looking at how many signs I need. I just get on Google Maps. I go out, figure out how many signs I'm going to need, get those checked out. I've got the pinwheels in my car. I'm good to go. Okay. Number 3, I communicate with my seller. Hey, here's when I'm going to do it. Here's the time I'm going to do it. If I'm doing it like tomorrow, I'm doing it 3:30 to 5:30 up in Clinton. I'll arrive at about 3 o'clock, 3:15. Okay. And I let them know I need the house. If you can have the lights turned on, window shades or window draperies open, that'd be great. Okay. Third piece, or fourth piece, I guess would be, I am planning out my call list because I always do a circle call for an open house. Okay. So circle calls, probably a different subject, but if we have to discuss them, we will toward the end. But I do a circle call. I usually do those the day before. Okay. So today, what I did my circle calls for this home up in Clinton, let everybody know within about, I don't know, it's probably about a quarter to a third of a mile around the house that we were doing an open house. Invite them out. I have a script I use. It's awesome. Okay. So day of the open house, I'll get up there. I'll put out my signs, leading in, sort of weaving people in. Turn on the house or turn on the lights to the house if they're not already turned on. Get myself familiar if I haven't held it open before. I want to know the top 3 things about that house. Okay. Now, from there, hold the open house, do the check-ins. Again, I use the app. Seems to be super effective for me. And then let me share my screen because I want to share with you these 6 questions. And you guys may want to just take a snapshot of this because these are the questions I asked at the open house. I asked them how they found us because I want to know, did they find us by the signs or did they find us through signs, ad, internet, whatever? I asked them, how long have you been looking? What about this house or area brought you to this house? Now, here's the question. If I had my magic wand, hand you my magic wand, what day would you circle on the calendar to move into your new home? You're getting them to think. You're getting them to get a little creative, to imagine things. That is powerful. And I asked them, do you have your golden ticket? Who knows what the golden ticket is? Anybody?
Pre-approval.
Pre-approval. Now, but most people don't. They think it's that little silly thing from that movie, Willy Wonka. So I then go into my whole piece about the pre-approval process. Want to know, are they pre-approved? Who are they working with? And then the next question, I don't ask them, do they have an agent? Because they can say yes or no. Ask them, who's helping you? Now, why would I ask who's helping you versus do you have an agent or not?
They have to give you like a name, or if they're not working with anybody, they can let you know
Yeah.
that rather than yes or no.
Yep, exactly it. Okay. Now, if they give me a name, then I follow up and I'm saying, okay, I don't want this is it's not on here, but write this down. I said, I just want to be clear. I don't want to be stepping on toes. I want to be clear. Have you signed an exclusive buyer broker with them? Okay. Guys, I'm going to mute myself one more time. Give me a second here.
Did everybody screenshot his questions? I would recommend doing that, and we are
Yes.
recording this. Awesome. We are recording this. We also have a really cool open house playbook that I'll make sure you guys all get a copy of if you don't have it. That has like a lot of what we're talking about: sign-in sheets, feedback forms, scripting, all of that. So there's a lot that we can supply outside of this training in terms of reading resources.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Terry, thanks for having my back. It's amazing when you have a brand new puppy and again, your wife's out of town, your kids are gone, that like they're just carnage in my house right now. So,
Oh gosh, I love puppies.
well, you can have mine. Okay, so who is helping you is a powerful question because it leads you to the other questions of, can you follow up? What type of value can you provide, right? And so this is your avenue. This is your way in to that next step, which is, that last question. If I find another house that works for you, would you like me to give you a call? You could ask that so many different ways. If they're not working with an agent, if they haven't signed an exclusive buyer broker agreement, would I said one of the questions I would ask you, would you be offended if I asked you some more of your criteria and sent you some properties that may be interesting to you? Okay. These are the magical questions. These are straight from Lee Stern. They work. Okay. And even to this day, I still bring to my open houses a 3x5 index card with these questions on it. It's just a reminder to ask the questions. Okay. Okay. Now let's fast forward. The open house is winding down. I shut off all the lights. I lock up the house. Couple things I do. First, I make sure whatever list I'm using with the information from people that attended the open house, I'm making sure I secure that. I don't want to lose that. Okay. I'm then calling my client. I'm giving them a recap of how many groups came in, what type of feedback we received, any potential interest that I could gauge, things like that. Okay. Then, sometime in the next 24 hours, I'm taking those people that were on my list and I'm putting them into my database because now they're follow-ups. Some will turn into nothing. Some will be long-term nurtures. Some will actually become clients. Okay. Oh, and take down the signs. Don't leave the signs. Those are expensive. Okay. So that is my process from start to finish. Any questions on that?
No, you answered it for me. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Mike, I might have missed this, so I apologize if you answered it, but what is your process when they come in the house? Do you walk them through? Do you follow behind them? What's your process there?
Good question. So I don't follow them through the house. Okay. I ask them, hey, I introduce myself, of course. I ask them, they usually introduce themselves too. I'm like, oh my gosh, how did you find us? And then I'm like, I ask usually the first 3 questions because they're pretty quick. And then I say, listen, you've got one group, or you've got, in the house, or you've got no other people in the house is yours. I'm going to be staying close here, and I'll be available for any questions before you leave or you come back. I don't follow them. And that's a personal preference of mine, because I never looking at houses before I became an agent. And like, it just felt creepy, people following me. But if you do that, no offense, if it works for you, keep doing it. All right, any other questions on open houses? All right, before I take this screen share off with these questions, I'll give everybody about another 10 seconds to take a snap if you didn't already.
We have a question in the chat. Do you use any
Yeah.
kind of music, or do you use a specific music app while you're there?
No, the only music I do is the heavy metal as I'm driving into the open house to get pumped up. About it. No, I don't. And I don't cook anything. I don't do cookies. I don't do popcorn, anything like that. I think it would be a little bit different if I'm at a luxury listing. I will treat those a little different. Okay. So, I may cater in something, or I may do, cookies. Or if I've got a house that, and I've had a couple of them where, they've had like 10 cats, and that smell. I'm probably having, some different scents to try to block that. But outside of that, no, I keep it pretty straightforward on, and pretty clean. I'm not doing any of that. All right, any other questions? Lori, I just saw your text. Yep, you can have my puppy. Okay. Okay. Last thing, and again, I'm just going to go through these 7 levels, and I'm going to go through them quick because I want you to understand what Gary Keller wrote about greatness on how to do an effective open house. And again, I am at 4 on most weeks. So when I hit level 4, you're going to understand where I'm at. And when we hit level 7, that's pretty elite. So first one is you have a sign in the yard, and that is it. Okay. That's it. No directionals, nothing. Level 2 is you have a sign in the yard, and you've got balloons and or riders on that sign. Okay. Level 3, sign in the yard with balloon riders and directional signs at all key corners with balloons, or in my case, spinners. Okay. Level 4 is all of that plus flyers the week before, email invites, and posted on websites. And instead of doing flyers, I do the phone calls. Okay. Level 5 is all of that with the phone calls. So maybe I'm like a 4. Yeah, I'm definitely a 4, not a 5. Pretty basic so far. Okay. Level 6 is all of that. And the sixth one is get on the phone that morning and remind everybody. I do not do that. And level 7, so the 7th one, is hold 4 other open houses in the area in various price ranges. Now, does that mean hold 4 that are your own? Well, you can't do it. You can't be in 4 places at once. Or could that be collaborating with other agents in that area, whether it be from your office or not? Could be that too. Okay. Here's what I'll tell you. If you can get to a 4 or higher, you're going to be in great shape, and open houses will be a staple part of your business. If you just rely on a sign being in the yard and agents finding it on the MLS because it's notated that there's an open house, they're not going to be effective, and your time may be better spent elsewhere. Okay, so we talked about open houses. We talked about the 7 levels. We talked about the 6 questions that come from Lee Stern that I use. We answered some questions about open houses. Talked about providing value. You got Value Square in command under Connect. This is your time now to answer or to ask any questions or bring up anything else that maybe we didn't cover that you wanted to. Anybody?
Everybody's so quiet. But I appreciate you for kind of helping me understand that bringing value to an open house is important because you try to collect information. So yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Well, and I think just to maybe put a bow on this, you know, if this is an open-ended invitation, like if anybody ever wants to shadow me at open house, like I'll put my contact information in the chat, like text me, because I do 2 to 3 of them a month. Okay. So open invitation for anybody.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That is
Terry
awesome.
and
Yeah.
Terry or Lori, anything that I may have missed that you wanted to hear or have me discuss?
I don't think so. I feel like you covered it really well. We really appreciate your time. I was just going to say, you guys, we have Mike on here. He's one of the greats. So maybe any question you have, maybe just not even about open houses, but a couple more minutes just to ask him any questions you have. Take advantage of us having him. Any questions? I know a lot of us are new and we maybe haven't done open houses yet, but any other questions that are on your mind?
While you're thinking about it, you know, most everybody's new here, and Terry, myself, Lori, like we were all new at one time too. Okay. I think a couple of things that I always tell and I remind myself because I was new is something Josh Stern told me. He's like, focus on 3. I'm like, what does he mean? And he said, just focus on 3 lead sources and get really good at those. And for me, open houses have been one of those. Okay. Find your 3. And if you don't have 3, find your 2 and get really good at them. Right. There is enough business out there right now. I mean, there's over 11,000 homes on the market. It's a lot of opportunity for you and I to help people, and through that, make an incredible living. And if you're in a position where you don't know what your 2 or your 3 are, Lori, Terry, the team, they can help you with that. Okay. But find your 2, find your 3. Open houses is one of mine. You guys have an open invitation to shadow me. So
you're amazing,
already got
Mike.
a direct text.
We appreciate
All right,
you.
guys.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, already got a
so
text.
much.
Anybody else text me? Happy to help. See ya.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Bye, guys.